Welcome to Purpose Living Podcast. It's a wonderful week starting off because it's not humid. This past week has been hot and humid. But we're back here with a new episode. I think this is a good topic. Not I think. I just stop saying that. This is a great topic for us all to find ways to reset and not get stagnant in our ways of doing things or just moving on in life. So today's wonderful topic is going to be surrounding 4 tips to overcome mindset blocks with faith. If you're somebody who's in faith, or you're just learning, you're just growing, you're a little baby in your faith and you're just maturing, or you don't have any faith anyways, but you're just curious and learning how to find different ways, this is a great episode. So let's dive into it. Lead us.
Okay, so, I will share a little bit. So this morning, he was training me. He's like, so I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone here. And he is like a really good coach to train in speed and agility and those type of things, which is outside of my comfort zone. So
Appreciate that.
What a perfect way to jump out of my comfort zone and just trust him and his knowledge and expertise and surrender myself to the process. Well, the first couple of days were like really hard, but I just tried to power through it and get stronger. Today, I had a huge mindset block. He put up things to help me try to get my feet down quicker versus trying to float in the air. And I was like, whoa, I don't know that I can do that. And it wasn't that pretty, but I like those experiences because that doesn't like define me forever, that I can't ever learn how to do it. It was just not so great and easy today. But we all have different things that we're working on or we're growing in or we want to continue to pursue. And our mind is the key component that either keeps us going and powering through the hard times, or it's our block that makes us want to just kind of sit in our hole and just whine and complain and go back to our old habits of what we've always done in the past. And so it's a process and it takes time and it takes commitment. But we wanted just to give you 4 tips of no matter what area you're, whether it's speed training or physical health or life or whatever you're looking to seek growth in, and you're kind of running into that block. You're running into that place where you're not seeming to be able to power through. You're kind of falling back into those old habits. So the first one for us, because we're people of faith, is just trusting in God's plan, like knowing that he has a plan for us. We also had a car incident where he got into a wreck, and
it's been quite the week.
It really has, and the whole thing fell off, and then the car's totaled. Thank the Lord, he is good and okay. But in those moments, it could be like, oh man, what are we gonna do? Or okay, Lord, we know that you work all things for good. Obviously, he didn't cause the car accident or any of those things, but he can work them for good. And what it caused us to do is to really sit down and look at some things and evaluate some things and be like, okay, like we know deep down in our heart that the Lord has put things into us that we have been, trying to navigate and figure it out. And those roadblocks or those kind of like trials can bring us to a place of deeper surrender. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's what it was for me, is trusting God.
I mean, so like even the challenges that you face when you have the block that makes you recognize the block, are there for a reason, for you to either settle down, slow down, to move faster, or just to think twice about what you're trying to achieve and what path you're taking to achieve those things. So when we think about the story like she was telling about this morning, when I think about that, it is just taking you out of your comfort zone, taking you out of your own ways of thinking and putting you in a place that, okay, in this situation, what would God do, right? So she was talking about, for you cars people, my ball joint went out, and then somehow my car did not lose control at all. Well, we know why. It was God's doing. But as I was driving, because the ball joint popped out, the axle fell out too. So my tire was literally sideways on top of the fender. So while I was sitting there, I give her a call. I was like, "Hey, listen, this is what happened. I'm fine. I'm gonna be sitting on the side of the highway for however long the tow truck comes." But while I was sitting there, the thing that I was just kind of talking about with God was like, "Okay, God, what am I supposed to learn from what's happening right now?" So the clarity that I got is, you need to get moving in the things that I have for you right now in front of you, which for us is doing this and building our purpose living coaching business that we have. So that was the message for me, is like, take the step and go and do it, instead of you sitting back and saying, "Oh, I need to have this in place, before I go ahead and do it." No. You need to take a step right now with what you have. And my whole concept or thought process for this year is, be where your feet are. Be present where your feet are. So God has already given us what we need to do. Now it's time for us to take a step. That's what I got when I was sitting not even when I was sitting on the side of the road, but when I'm inside a tow truck and the tow truck driver, him and I were having a conversation. That's what I got. So a lot of times when we're going through challenges that takes us out of our comfort zone is because we've gotten as far as we can, probably with our own knowledge.
Yep.
Now it's time for us to allow God and trust God of the plan that He has for us to take us to the next level that He wants us to get to. So for us, for me, that's what I got when I'm sitting in the back in the truck driver, and we're talking with the truck driver. So for all of us, that's what it is, right? A lot of times, I think when we get that blockage, we tend to sit back and just kind of wallow in like, "Whoa, me, why is this happening to me?" Da 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 da. I think being able to shift our mindset of thinking and saying, "Okay, God, I trust you. I don't know what's going on right now, but I trust you and I trust your plan for me. And where can I go from here? And what are the next steps that I need to take?"
Yep, 100%. Because every time I get into my head and try to figure out how to make things happen, I don't have the peace.
Yeah.
Like right now we have so much unknown and chaos, but I have such strong peace. And I feel like God has shifted us into the center of His will again. And it's really knowing, okay, God, knowing He loves you so much and knowing He has plans specifically for you. It's just us aligning our heartbeats with His and stop trying to force our own agenda in it.
Absolutely.
And it's a process of learning, and then it's like, oh, how do I know? When you're leaning into following God and really understanding His plans for you, you are going to have a peace. There will be a peace there. If there is no peace, we're probably still trying to control it in some way. And so it's just allowing God to search our hearts and seek, okay, what am I still forcing? Or what am I still trying to do?
Yeah.
So which goes into step 2 or tip 2 is to pray for wisdom and strength.
Yeah.
So to ask God, because it's so easy to use our own knowledge, our own resources, ask Google, talk to, different people that maybe have really great intentions, but we're not necessarily always seeking God first. And when we ask and we get on our knees and we're like, okay, Lord, I don't have all the answers, but I know that you do. And I just ask for your wisdom right here. So it's a process of not going to Him when we're in the crisis, but a daily walk of okay, I need wisdom on what is that best next step. And unfortunately, He doesn't give us the entire blueprint of action plans. He typically gives us the next step. And when we can walk in obedience towards that, then it keeps going. And so really just whatever you're facing, know that you don't have to face it alone. And ask God, Lord, I need wisdom right here. I need to have your wisdom and your strength to overcome maybe what's blocking me in my mind. What is something that's like keeping me from your God's best for you, and like asking him to just show you and reveal you those things too.
Yeah, and like I like the way that you said that. For me, a lot of times, I think we feel like we can't pray for the things that we want, that we know we need, and even things that you want, because the best answers that you're gonna get is no or yes. Okay, if it is a yes, that means you need that thing. If it is a no, that doesn't mean no forever. That just means not yet, right? Or you're not ready to receive that right now. So a lot of times for me, like, pray for wisdom and strength and be really specific about what you need. Okay, God, I need you to show me. Now, God is not gonna like bring like fireworks from heaven, like pow, and put it down.
He can, but like
He could, but that is usually, you gotta be really in tune, right? You gotta be really present with God, and don't try to look at things the way you want it. If you're asking for something, take yourself out of it. Allow God to completely take charge of it and let him show you the way that he wants you to go through with what you're asking for.
Yeah, and I want to share on that because I battled this. Like, I battled asking specific things because I just more was like, Lord, just whatever you want. But when I actually like more in faith, like I'll just share from, I actually went through a divorce. That's where I really met Jesus, was like in that space of like, okay, I give up. And then I had a very specific list of if I was ever going to get married again, like I didn't care, like if I was going to be single forever, that was okay. But in my heart of hearts, I knew that, I knew there was somebody, but I had a list of every little thing that if I were ever to marry, that was on, or I made a list of like qualities that I would want in a man. And one of the number one things was I wanted somebody that was going to love Jesus more than they loved me, because ultimately that would bond our relationship that much stronger. But I had like some other things, like I wanted somebody that I could be active with, and I wanted, just some different things. And God literally answered every single thing on that list. Everything. Like, and I said, I didn't care if he had $1 to his name. And at the time, he didn't have $1 to his name. And he said that straight up to me, like, I don't have, because he was in grad school and all of these things. And I'm like, okay, cool. Another item on my list that I actually put down. But so just knowing that, like, if you're aligning your heart with God and there's certain things that are deep and placed in there, it's okay to ask for it. It's that the Bible says you have not because you ask not. And when you ask in faith without doubting. And so there is a process of that, and I'm still going through it. Like, I'm definitely have a long way to go with this.
I mean, it's just like you said, it's something that you got to go through daily. Like, it's not, you can't wait until something happens for you to, like, listen, we're going through, it's the same thing for us as a family, like, trying to figure out, okay, our finances and everything. Our prayer all the time is just, God, give us enough to take care of our families and everything and to be able to bless other people. So far, he has done that. Right? So for us, like, that is our daily prayer, like, God, because for me personally, I know I can become arrogant if I have too much money and end up spending money and doing things with money that I don't need to be doing with money. So
you can steward well, too.
Yeah. What do you mean?
No, I was just saying, like, allowing God to give us what we can steward well. Like, if it would get in your head, then don't give it to us.
That's what that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, if that can happen, right? So for me is, okay, in our prayers, I think it's Proverbs, I forgot what chapter, is just give us enough that we will need to be able to take care of our necessary needs and I'll be able to bless other people. By praying that and every single day, and even when we face challenges financially, for me, I pray like, okay, God, this is the situation. Can you please provide for us? And I'll be honest, we have not have to go squatching anywhere to try to find something. He's always provided that. Yeah. So, like, for us, like, as a believer, that's the challenge for myself. It's like, dude, if you truly believe in who God is, right? If you truly believe in who God is, then whatever thing that you need, or whatever clarity that you need, whatever wisdom that you need, whatever strength that you need, come unto God and put it in his foot and see what he does.
Yep.
Well, God is not gonna, no, then you're not actually,
There's no faith there.
there's no faith there. But if you come and like, okay, God, if he provides, great. If he doesn't, all right, maybe it's time for me to see something that he's trying to show me that I'm not seeing.
Yep, 100%.
Right? So you gotta be in tune.
Yep. And it is. It's just aligning our heart, our motive, like just keeping ourselves centered. And I will share that too. Like when I was going through that season of like, I had just my duffel bags and nothing. And like God showed up and provided. Like people like brought me old dishes that they used in college because I had nothing. I like was starting completely over, and I had me and my son, and that was it. And I had to be completely, like, okay, obviously I was working hard in the gym and doing what I could that way, but he put so many people in my path to like, here's a mattress, here's this, the things that we need, because he does care for us. And, but my whole heart was like seeking him and trusting him and desiring to, like, he's not like our genie where we just ask for whatever we feel like and then expect him to get it. It's like this relationship, like this deep oneness. And I mean, it's just like with your spouse, like if you're married, like, you start to understand each other's needs and like how you become one. It's like same thing with God. Like unless you are pursuing him and having that like intimate time with him, it's hard to understand where he's leading you, because it's so easy to get in our heads. It's so easy to have that mental block of like just doing whatever we can in survival mode. Like that's the default of what we typically go into. And so it does take a discipline to seek God and to ask him to show you and then to develop that deep relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier for you to receive the things of the world when you are not in tune, and to actually believe the things in the world than to see and to listen to what God is telling you when you're not in that oneness with him. Because you believe more. I mean, if you look at it, like, people believe the news more than they believe the true source.
Yeah.
Like, things that are happening, are you out there talking to somebody who's living there, or are you just believing what is the news? All right, moving on.
We can go on lots of trails here. Okay, we'll go to our tip 3, which is renewing our mind. And so this is where when we're in a mental block and we're kind of feeling like stuck and just kind of spinning and spiraling, oftentimes we can think about all the things that can go wrong and all of the things that are like, we're battling or that's hard for us or whatever, and we kind of just go into this spin cycle of things of the world and things of the instant gratification and just stuff that isn't helping us to actually move forward to God's greater plans for us. And so when we renew our mind, we are setting our mind on things that are above, that are true, that are pure, that are like of God's word, and it just helps us to refocus. Like if, for instance, when he, got in that little wreck, like he was able to like, get over, stay cool as a cucumber in like the midst of that. And that's what I always love about him, is just his steady patience and calmness. Like if it would have been me, like I think I would have went, and went crazy and went all over, the road. But like, then it's okay. That happened. He had 2 choices there. He could spin up, okay, now what are we going to do? We have to figure out how we're going to financially take care of this. Now I'm on the road for I don't know how long. How am I going to contact X, Y, and Z? Like he could have went in that spin cycle, but when he called me, he's like, all right, well, this is what happened. I'm going to just wait for the tow truck and we'll figure it out. Because he disciplines himself to have his mind renewed on what God can do. And he instantly went to God versus going to all of the negative things that could happen and go into that spin cycle. And so I think we can all kind of follow in that. When something happens, do we go into this negative spin cycle of all the negative things that could happen? Or do we take ourselves some time to align our heart? Okay, God, here, this is the situation that I'm going through. renew my mind and my heart with what you can do. I'm going to set it on things above, and I want to just see how I can grow and mature through this time of testing, through this trial, because the Bible tells us count it all joy when you go through trials of various kinds, because of the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, which what that means is when we go through something, it gives us an opportunity to either lean on God or try to figure it out on ourselves. And every time we choose to lean on God and just seek Him diligently for the wisdom and what we need, then we'll have peace in the midst of any kind of circumstance. When we don't have peace in it, we're leaning on our own strength. So you can go through, that's why Paul in prison, he was a writer of many of the letters in the Bible. When he wrote all those letters, he was in prison, and he was saying count it all joy, because he knew something. He knew, okay, if I connect my heart with God, I can keep peace no matter what happens. If I just look at the situation of like with my naked eye and think of all the things that could go wrong, I'm going to be in chaos. So it just kind of helps us in that mindset to like remove that roadblock of, okay, I'm not going to try to figure this out and think of all the things that could go wrong, but I'm going to renew my mind to what God has and keep my heart centered there.
So basically, when I think about renewing your mind, I think of solution. Okay? So let me break it down. John Maxwell said this once: if you're going to bring a problem to me, you better have 3 solutions to it. So when you're having some kind of mindset block or something that is happening that is kind of holding you back, I would say give yourself the permission to feel those feelings that you're in, right? But make it so that it lasts for a certain period of time.
Yeah, that's
So some people will be like, okay, I'll give myself like 5 minutes to like
do whatever
you gotta do, to be upset, to do it, all that. But the moment that 5 minutes is gone, we're up to the next thing. What happened? What can I do to make the situation better? And how can I move on from here?
Yeah.
Right? By doing that, you're giving yourself an opportunity to actually analyze what happened, what went wrong, and what is the next solution? What is the next best thing that I can do to help me get myself in a better situation moving on?
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times when we go, I go distract when I go to meet, kids do something, I'll turn around. A lot of times I'm praying, God, don't let me say anything stupid. And then I'll turn around, come back, I'm like, well, it happened. It happens. That's part of the game. Now let's move on to the next event. We'll talk about it for a little bit. After that, all right, shake hands, hug, up.
Yep.
It's passed, right? And that's something that some of us need to do. Sometimes it might just be between you and somebody. Take a walk for 20 minutes, and then come back and revisit it. So that's what I think about when it comes to renewing your mind as well. So
yeah, no, and I love that, and I want to share a quick parenting thing with that, because it just happened like 20 or 10 minutes ago when I was putting the kids for their nap time, and one of my daughters was like throwing a fit and crying because she was upset about something her sister said, but I didn't know that was the problem. She was just like crying. I'm like, you have to just lay down, you're just tired. And like she just kept crying. I'm like, okay, obviously what I'm saying to her is not actually helping her calm down. I'm like, just take a nap, whatever. And so I had to pause myself and like, okay, Lord, I need some wisdom right now on how to come alongside so she can get her emotions down and then get her to a space where she can rest. And so instead of just saying, just go to sleep, which I wanted to say, which I kind of did, and then had to reframe it. I mean, just being real. But what I had to do was like, okay, honey, like, what's making you feel upset right now? And then she was like, she instantly came down a little bit. She still was crying, but she came down and she said it through tears of what was going on. I'm like, okay. And so then we got to talk about it a little bit, and then she was like calmer and calmer. She needed heard and she needed loved. And like me just saying go to sleep just was going to heighten all of her emotions. And so renewing our mind sometimes is just asking ourselves, okay, what's making me upset here? Ask yourself that. And sometimes it's something silly that we don't even need to be upset about. And sometimes it's something serious where that we need to kind of refocus and kind of get our hearts, which actually leads us to tip 4.
Perfect segue to the next step.
Yeah, which is community support. We are not meant to do it alone. We're not meant to, have all the answers and just muster through and get all the mind roadblocks out by ourselves. Like, we need people who love us, who are in our corner, who also want God's best for us, to be able to speak that life and truth in us when we don't have it in ourselves. Like, sometimes when, just like my daughter, when she was in her emotions, in this part of her brain, she could not think clearly to calm herself down. And me coming and just, hey, just go to bed, take a nap, was not helping her. And so until I could and that's why the people that you do let speak into your life, make sure that they're calm and that they can have that. But to be able to come alongside her, to love her, to talk it through, then give a hug and then lay down. It can be with anything. Like, have some people that are in your corner. And if you don't have those people, we that's what we do. We coach. We can be those people for you. But have those people in your life and in your corner who will be able to just speak some wisdom when you don't feel like you have it in yourself.
Yeah, 2 things I would add on to this is, for you that is going through whatever you're going through, understand this. At that moment, there's 90% chance of anything that somebody's going to tell you at that moment you don't want to hear, right? But that is probably what you need to hear, okay? Now, people in the community, as much as you want to go haywire on this person and tell them bluntly what they need to hear, you also got to be able to give them the ear to listen. Because the moment that they see that you are listening to them and they're being heard, then they can receive what you have to say.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 things I would say. For you who's going through what you're going through, be ready to hear things that at the moment you don't want to hear. But those things could have value for you. And then the person who is given those things, to make sure you are hearing and you're listening to that person before you give them whatever feedback you're given.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that, because it's so true. And if you're the person giving it, make sure that you have a heart of love for them and you genuinely care about their best interest, not just trying to prove something. So check your motive. Like the Bible says, take the log out of your own eye. That just means check your motive, check your heart, and then do I love this person? Now I can speak, because there's grace in it. If you're just trying to prove them wrong and I got to speak the truth just to shove them down, there's not grace there. So I love that motive. And then what he said about, you're not going to want to hear it when it's your things that people are pointing out in you because they love you. But take the time to reflect on it. We had our marriage mentors come to our house, and he very bluntly shared something I needed to hear, and I was not feeling it when he said it. I didn't blow up or anything, but I was really upset and crying because I didn't see. I thought I was right in my own head, and then when I actually took the time to pray through it and to look at it, I'm that's exactly what I needed to hear. I didn't realize that I was doing that, and if he didn't point it out, I wouldn't able to get better at it, because I didn't see I was doing it. And so as much as I didn't want to hear it, I needed to hear it, and then I needed to then take action on, okay, what Lord, do a work in me where that's not part of me anymore. And so just being open to hearing that feedback, even when it's not always easy.
Yep. Listen to understand, not listen to respond.
Yeah.
And then after that, respond. So, all right, folks, we love you all. This is Purpose Living Coaching. Training to do live God's way, not trying to do live.
No.
What is this shit, man? Just doing live God's way.
Because we gotta work at it. It's not like we're just here.
Doing God's.
We are training.
No. Doing live God's way.
Amen.
Catch you guys next week.
Bye.